Today we're going to learn Daf Lamed Hey. It's 35. We're holding. It looks like it's about 10 lines down. Boy mine Rava me Rav Nachman. We thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day. It's about learning. We should have the Beis Hamikdash immediately. The Gemara begins like this. Boy mine Rava me Rav Nachman. Rava asks Rav Nachman a question. A little bit of a gap in generations there, but Nachman is a student of Rav and Shmuel. Rava would be jump a generation later. Yeah, so he asked the question, Yesh mi'ila b'kainam me'selai. A kainam is when someone takes a vow and he says that this item should be forbidden like a carbon. But he uses the word kainam, which is a nickname for carbon. Now, basically what he did was he sort of consecrated it. It's forbidden like something that's consecrated. Now, something that's consecrated has the rules of me'ila. You're not allowed to use it you're not allowed to have personal benefit from it. So the question is, when you make it like it's consecrated, are you actually making it consecrated? And that if someone then benefits from it, he violates the rules of me'ila. He had personal benefit from consecrated property. Well, that's his question. Amalei Tanisua. He tells him that you learned this already. What did it say in our Mishnah? We said that if someone took a vow that his friend can't have any benefit from him, and they can't give him any benefit. And then he finds his object that he lost, his donkey. So he goes to return it to him. Now we said he's allowed to return it to him. But if there was going to be if it's a place where the one that lost the item has to give a finder's fee to the recipient to the finder, just give a finder's. So if the finder doesn't want to take it, so he just says you can keep it. So that would be giving him benefit. Giving back his item was not considered benefit because that was his own item. But forgiving the fee was considered a benefit. So we said, what do we do with that benefit? So we said, oh, it goes to hektish.
Goes to what?
Hektish. It's consecrated. You give it to the temple. Now, the Gemara has other ways of dealing with money that you can't use. One of the ways is you throw it into the sea, right? It didn't say that you just don't use the money. You can't use the money. You can't have benefit from it. It said that the money goes to hektish specifically. Let's just give it to tzedakah. It's specifically to hektish. Why does it specifically to hektish? Because this was consecrated money. Because when he took the vow and he said that you're forbidden to me, it's forbidden to get benefit from me just like hektish, that was actually saying that it becomes hektish. And that's why there's actually an address of where that money needs to be sent, and that's to the Beis Hamikdash.
Because he said the word hektish.
Because when he took the vow,
he said hektish.
That's considered like saying hektish. The kainam is considered hektish.
If you consecrate like a plant, will all the fruits of that plant be hektish as well?
Yeah. If there's no temple, then it would have to be redeemed.
This is already.
It would have to be redeemed. And then you would deal with the money. However you deal with the money would then take on the hektish and you would be able to use the item. You'd have to go through the redemption process.
And the money you would give it to shul?
No, you would actually not be able to have any benefit because the shul is not considered the temple, right?
So what would we do with the money?
You'd have to throw it into the sea or something. No one can have benefit from it. It's consecrated. Even though they call the shul temple, Beth, whatever, but that doesn't mean it's a temple. Yeah. Right? Okay. Lameimra ki hektish. Obviously, What you're telling me is that it becomes hektish. Ma hektish yesh by meila, afkainamas yesh by meila. There should be the rules of meila, which means the prohibition of getting personal benefit from things that are consecrated would apply to someone that took a vow. Gemara says kitanai. This is actually not so simple. This is actually more complicated. It's actually machlekes tanaim. Kitanai over here is not a problem. Kitanai is an answer. Sometimes lema kitanai is a problem. If we had a machlekes between Amirayim, and then we would say lema kitanai, that would mean like, why are they arguing about it? It was already argued about earlier, previously. That would be a question. But over here, Rava has a question. And the Gemara is saying, yes, Reb Nachman, we're saying that it's actually machlekes. So it's just a way of answering the question of what's the din? It's a machlekes. Okay. Ketanai. Kainam kicher ze zu hektish. If he says, here he's using two expressions, but we're understanding that really the main expression is just the kainam. Second expression. He says kainam should be like a sacrifice. This loaf of bread, as if it's hektish. So, va'achla, and then he ate it. Now over here, he didn't say that it's prohibited to anyone specific. He just said in general, this loaf of bread is prohibited. So, whether he ate it or his friend ate it, mal, they violated the laws of meila, which means personal benefit from consecrated property. What's the rule of meila? That if it was done b'shaygig, it was done unintentionally, then they have to bring a sacrifice. If it was done intentionally, then it's misa b'dei shamayim. There's no sacrifice for that. Lefikach yesh lam pidyon. Once you say that this type of vow goes under the status of meila, then also it could be redeemed. Because this loaf of bread that you made this vow that it's going to be prohibited, now is considered consecrated. Well, consecrated properly, you could redeem it. You take money, and you say that this money is instead of that bread, and now you could eat the bread. Kikar zeh alai hektish, you take away the lamed. This loaf of bread on me is like hektish, v'achla, and he ate it. Humal chaver leimal. Then it was only prohibited to him, so he violates meila, but not his friend. Okay. So therefore it can't be redeemed because it's not perfectly hektish. Because his friend could eat it and it's not. You see, there's something missing over here. It's not really hektish. So it can't be redeemed. Divrei Meir. Chacham say it's not true what Reb Meir is saying. Either way, there's no meila here. And there's two ways of reading the Chachamim. One way of reading it is that it's referring to the second case. Second case was where he says this loaf of bread is prohibited to me. Chacham said, and Reb Meir said that if he eats it, there's meila. If his friend eats it, there's no meila. The Chacham say either case there's no meila. There's another way of reading this Mishnah. Chacham that we had two cases in the Mishnah. One case is where he says this loaf of bread is prohibited unto everyone. Second case is this loaf of bread is prohibited unto me. The Meir says both of them have an option of meila. And the Chachamim say that there's no meila whether on the first case or on the second case. How does the Ran learn? Yeah, he learns that it's referring to both the first case and the second case. The Ran writes that regarding the halacha, we're going to go like Reb Meir, that there is meila, just like Reb Nachman answered.
So they're saying the halakha is like yachid.
It is like Reb Meir, and the reason for that is because that's how Reb Nachman responded. Now, the Ran has an interesting question. He says, when it comes to meila, normally when something is consecrated, if someone then uses it, takes it for personal use, the item goes out of being consecrated, and there's an obligation on the person to replenish the temple to use the value of what he did to take. He now has an obligation to pay back plus an extra fifth. What happens over here with the vow? If someone uses something that he took a vow not to have benefit from, and then do we say that now it goes off and he has a new obligation to pay it, just like by Meila? The Ran leaves this as a question. Does it become permissible after he used it? Just like if it would be hektish. The Ran doesn't know. Mistapkali. Okay.
Normally, when you do Meila, both have to go to
No. No. What happens by Meila is that someone says this apple is going to be hektish, and then he he switches it around. Then he goes and he eats it, takes a bite out of it. So no, but that would be a food sacrifice. This is just for the Bedek bias, it's called temple upkeep. And then he takes a bite out of it. So he has to bring, he forgot that it was, so he has to bring the sacrifice, a Shami'ilais, he has to pay for the apple and add a fifth, but the rest of the apple he can finish. It's already not hektish. He's removed it from being hektish. Question is if that would apply to a vow as well. Okay. Amalei Ravacha, Bereid Rav Avia Ravashi. Kikari Elecha, Benasale Matana Mimal. Let's say he takes a vow. He says, this loaf of bread that I have is forbidden unto you, like a sacrifice, tells to his friend. So he made his own food forbidden unto someone else, which he's allowed to do. The question is, if the person then gives it to his friend, which exactly was a violation of exactly the vow that he took, he violates.
Did he say koinam?
It's understood kainam. If not, then it would be considered a yad. It's as if he said kainam. So who violates the meila here? The one that took the vow, or the one that ate it? Yeah.
Would it make a difference if the person that he didn't know about the vow or not?
It may make a difference. Yeah. So it goes like this. It says limal naisen, to say that the one that was giving it to his friend violates Mila. How could he violate Mila? For him, it was permissible. He was allowed to eat this. He's the owner. He made it prohibited onto the other guy. So he can't violate Mila if it's not even hektish for him. Limal makabel. This would only fit with Rav Meir, but I guess we said that's fine. To say that the one that ate it, the one that the recipient violates Mila, Yachal Damar Bisi Surale Bisi. He has an interesting claim over here. Now, even though Meila is usually is only when it's done inadvertently, but over here it's a little bit different because here, in order for Meila to happen, it has to change its status. You have to take it from hektish, and either you eat it or you take it out of hektish, use it as a payment for something. It has to change it has to be a transaction. Something has to happen. But over here, because it's not his yet, and he doesn't know that it's Meila, really what he could really say is that I intended to be receiving something that was acceptable. To receive something that's prohibited, I never intended to accept. So immediately there's a rejection on the transaction. The transaction's off. So there would be no Meila here. If it was his and he was giving it out, then that would be a transaction. But over here, he's the recipient of it. He can say, I never wanted to receive this, right? I'm not kinda something that's an avera, right? He says, I wanted something that's permissible, not something that's not permissible. Amalei, so he responded, Ravashi responded, Mekabel mal, l'kashiyatzi. Recipient violates Meila, but not when he receives it. He violates Meila when he spends it. when he then makes the transaction again. So when he receives it, he doesn't violate Meila because theoretically maybe there was no transaction there. But then when he goes and takes it and he uses it for something else, then he's the one that's spending it. So then that would be a regular case of Meila. Because anyone that spends money of hektish, and he gives it out to chulin, thinking that it was chulin anyway. Chulin means mundane. Thinking that it was mundane, he violates Meila. So after Meila, if that's the case, then the recipient over here will also violate Meila. Now, the Ran over here says that this is a strong question on the Rambam that says that the one that took the vow gets malchus. Let me go back. Daf Tesvav Remaskal Halacha. The Ran mentioned this before. We actually mentioned it in passing. Bottom. Yeah, the Ran already had a question on the Rambam back here, but he says, what's the violation over here? We had said Asura Ba'ana V'Laika. The Rambam writes, who gets malchus if there's a violation of a vow? So the one that took the vow is the one that, if someone took a vow that someone else cannot eat something from them, and then they eat it. So who gets the malchus? The one that ate it, or the one that took the vow? So he says, well, it would have to do with lo yachal devarei. So the Rambam writes, lo yachal devarei can only be on the one that took the vow, not to profane his words. And he's the one that said something. The one that ate it didn't even say anything. So how can you give them lashes? They didn't take the vow. And the Ran argues on him. Okay. So that would be the same thing over here, where the Rambam would say that who would violate Meila would be the one that took the vow.
Rabbi.
Yeah. Actually, I'm extending that to Meila. I think the Ran's his question is that from what we're saying here, limal noisein, when we say that the one that gave it, he can't be violating anything because it wasn't forbidden to him. So this is a question on the Rambam, because the Rambam says that it doesn't matter if it's forbidden to him, it's still a violation. That's what the Rambam said back there, that he would get malchus. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So this is all assuming that the person who violated the makabel, he is told he has to have the knowledge that it's forbidden to him.
No.
He might not even know.
Right. You're talking about in the Rambam's case when there would be malchus? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and also in our Gemara too.
In our Gemara by Meila, he clearly doesn't have to know. He finds out later. If he finds out later, that would be a shaygig. He didn't know. He thought it was chulin.
Okay.
It's still Meila.
Because when the guy says Kikari Alecha, right, it sounds like he's telling
right.
that guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't
sounds
have to
like,
be.
yeah, but I don't know if he really has to be there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I have a similar question. I don't know if I think this is here. We're assuming that the recipient knows about this vow.
No, we're assuming that maybe he doesn't know. Yeah. That's why we're asking, why should he violate Meila? He never would have accepted that as a gift, knowing that there's a violation there, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like he didn't know.
But there's not really a point, like, to receive something that you can use. Like, what
Right.
are you gonna lose?
Right.
Like, he can't even give it out because he'll be benefiting for that. So, like,
Right. So that's why he would say that he never would have wanted to receive it.
yeah.
So therefore, there would be no violation on him, even when it's given to him, because it's just it happens to be in his possession, but he didn't really acquire it because he doesn't want it. right? Then when he actually spends it, then that would be him passing it out to something else that would be making use of it. So then there would be a violation over there when he spends it. Okay, we have a new Mishnah. The new Mishnah is not much of a new Mishnah. It's a continuation of the last one. We said if someone takes a vow from his friend, that his friend cannot benefit from him. In the last Mishnah, we said that when it comes to the half shekel coin that we have to give, even though he took a vow that he can't benefit his friend, but he can still give the half shekel on his behalf. We said that if the friend lost an item, he can return the item to him because he's not giving him anything that wasn't his. He's not giving him anything as a gift. He's just giving him his own thing, and it's not considered a benefit. And then there was a discussion over there about the payment. Continuing on that same idea, the Torah mes trumase, my of l'daite. He can also take truma for the person that he just took a vow that cannot get benefit from him. He can take truma for him. The Gemara is going to discuss who's he taking truma from. Is he taking truma from his own grain? On this person, is he taking truma from? But whatever the case is, no, truma doesn't. Truma is given to a kohen, but the separation of truma is done by the owner. So he's stepping in place of the owner, and he's taking truma, and we're saying that that's acceptable, even though there's a prohibition of the owner getting benefit from it.
So he's doing it on his behalf.
He's doing it on his behalf.
Without the owner's knowledge.
Well, it says over here, it needs the owner's knowledge. Yeah, we'll see in the Gemara. We're not going to get to it today. Makriv alav kine yizavin v'kine yizaves kine yoldes chateis v'ashames. If the person that took the vow was a Kohen, said, not giving benefit to that fellow, a Yisrael. Now the Yisrael then has sacrifices that need to be brought. So the Kohen can't give benefit to the Yisrael. But we said when it comes to the sacrifice, he could still bring those sacrifices. It's interesting. Which sacrifices? Well, there's birds that a person that's a Zav has to bring. If he's a Zav 3 times, he has to bring. Zav is an abnormal emission that he has that makes him impure. So he has to bring, before he's able to eat us from a sacrifice again, he has to bring these birds. The birds are called a cane or a khan, like a nest. Like the nest, when you approach a bird's nest, you have to send away the mother bird. Over there, it's called khan. Here it's kine zavan. The birds of the zav or a zava, or if it's a woman, also has sees abnormal appearance of blood in the wrong time. So then that would be after three times, then she becomes a zava, and she also has to bring sacrifices before she can eat from a carbon. Or if she gave birth, then she also has to bring sacrifices before she can eat from a carbon, woman that gave birth. And chatayis v'asham is sin offerings and guilt offerings. We're going to see soon why sin offerings and guilt offerings is a totally different category. We're going to see that it's not necessarily a totally different category. We'll see. Malamdei medrash. He can also teach him medrash. Medrash is the Torah Shebal Peh, the oral Torah that goes along with the text, right? Halachas, teach him halacha, v'agades, and also the agadata. Havalei yilam den mikra, but he can't teach him chumash. We'll see. That's going to be not tomorrow, the day after. The explanation for that. Aval malamed hu espanav espanais mikra, but he's allowed to teach his son chumash. Talking about that, he took a vow, he can't give him benefit, but he's allowed to teach his son. Okay, Ibaylahu. Gemara starts off with a question. Hani kayane shluchi didan havi or shluchi deshmaya? That's an interesting question. Who are the kayanim working for? Are they working for us when they bring a sacrifice, or are they working for God? Are they bringing the sacrifice as a messenger of the people, or are they preparing it, the sacrifice, as a messenger for God? It's an interesting question. The Ran says we already have the answer. Taisvis also says we have the answer. We know this from another Gemara. It's a Gemara in Kedushin. Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua says that the only way you can make a messenger is if you're able to do it yourself. And since you can't do it yourself, so the Kayan can't be a messenger for you because you would have.
Interrupting Torah study.
That would be if you don't have anyone else that's available. But here, in order to make someone a messenger, you would need to be chayav in that thing yourself. You can't.
What is high?
Obligated. You have to be obligated to. You have to be able to do it yourself in order to make a messenger to do it for you. If you can't do this yourself, you can't make a messenger.
I think in Yoma it says straight out that the Kohen Gadol is the Shaliach of Hashem.
Okay, so if that's the case, then very good. It's a Shliach of Hashem. Based on this Gemara Kedushin, in Yuma it quotes on the side. Rabbi Shaya Pick says the Yuma Daf Yomi says that it's a Shluchi Derachmana, the Shliach of Hashem. The Kayan knows the meal. So why is our Gemara even discussing this if we have the answer already? So the Ran and Taisva say that what they're discussing is, we know that we have the answer logically, but we're looking for a source for it. That's what's going on. There are other possibilities to answering this question. Let's say the person that took the vow was a Kohen. The person that he took the vow from, that he can't give benefit to, is also a Kohen. So now, in a case where they're both Kohanim, then I don't have an answer. Who is he a shliach from? I have an answer in general, that the Kohen is a shliach of Hashem, is a messenger of Hashem. But if the person himself that's having him bring the sacrifice is a Kohen, then he would have been able to bring it on his own. So then his messenger can also bring it as a messenger from him. Yeah, unless we would say that when he brings it on his own, it's not a real answer maybe. When he brings it on his own, he's also a messenger from Hashem. Because we've already answered that. In all other cases, Kayan is a messenger from Hashem. Okay. Lamay nafkamina. I'm going to ask, what is the practical difference? What comes out from this question? It's a good question, but what's the difference? So the answer is, lamudar hana. If someone took a vow not to give the other person benefit, the other person shouldn't have benefit from him. If we say that the messenger is a messenger, that the Kayan is a messenger of the people, then when that person wants to bring a sacrifice, he's going on a mission from the person that he wasn't allowed to give benefit to. If he's a messenger of Hashem, then there's no problem, because he's not giving a benefit to this person. He's doing the work, he's a hired worker of Hashem. But if he's a messenger of the people, then that would be a problem, because he took a vow that he's not going to give this person benefit. He can't become his messenger. Well, then shari samai. So what's going to be the conclusion here? Tashema. So let's come in here. What we learned in our Mishnah, the Tanan, Makar of Kinesavan, says took a vow that he's not going to give benefit to his friend, and then he's allowed to bring the sacrifices for him. If he's a zav, you can bring those birds. So if we say that the Kayan is a messenger of the people, then he's giving benefit to the person. Umar says, according to you, that you think that the Kayan is a messenger of Hashem, that's the case. And then there's no problem over here bringing a sacrifice for. So then, listening makravel of karbanos. Why do you have to itemize which type of karbanos he's bringing? You could just say he's allowed to bring a sacrifice for him. The fact that you're itemizing specific types of karbanos means that certain karbanos yes, certain karbanos no. How does that work? The sacrifices that are being brought here are not sacrifices that are coming as an atonement for sins.
But isn't it, he doesn't benefit from the sacrifice.
Well, no, actually, it could be the sacrifice of being eaten. I mean, if the oila parts of it are being definitely the chatas is being eaten by the kohen. Now, the kohen is one that took the vow that the other person can have benefit from him. He's allowed to have benefit from that bird. The kohen can eat it. It's just that he's bringing it on behalf of someone that he wasn't supposed to give benefit to. But what we're saying now is that there's different types of sacrifices. There's a type of sacrifice that the person needs an atonement for. And that doesn't get mentioned in the Mishnah. Then there's another type of sacrifice where the person just needs to be able to eat to eat from other sacrifices, but because he was impure, until he brings the concluding, the final part of the process of purification, which is a sacrifice, he can't eat from other karbanos. He's called a mechusar kapara. Just like this, someone who becomes impure. So he goes to the mikveh. He's not perfectly pure. He has to wait for nightfall. At nightfall, then he becomes pure. He can eat truma, let's say. But he still can't eat from a karban. The following day, he brings a karban, and then he's able to eat from other karbanos. So it's really part of his purification process. So what we're saying now is that this is not an atonement for his sins, that he should be a messenger. This is just a way of getting rid of the impurity, and it's really not a messenger from him. And we're going to say that really anyone could bring this. You don't even need the intention of the person that it's allowing to then eat from sacrifices. You just bring it on behalf of anyone you want, and then the person could eat. So it's not really a messenger from him, as we're going to see now. The only problem that we have to resolve is what the Gemara is going to ask later, is that if you look carefully in the Mishnah, it also said chatois v'ashamis, sin offerings and guilt offerings. We're going to need to explain that because we just tossed those right now by saying, oh, we're not talking about sin offerings. We'll see. It's a specific type of sin offering. We're saying that these types of sacrifices that allow a person to then eat from karbonos, he was lacking his purification. I'm translating kapara as purification. He was lacking his purification. So those are different types of sacrifices. Rabbi Yochanan says, Hakol tzrichem das. Everything needs intention. That means intention of the one that it's being brought on behalf of. Chutz mi mechusri kapara. Except for mechusri kapara, people that need the purification to be complete. Maybe carbon albanav albanais vaktanim shnemazais teres azov bein gadol bein katan. Say a person wants to bring a carbon pesach, and part of his family is tamei. Brings a carbon pesach for the family. So if they're tamei, then they won't be able to eat from the carbon pesach. So while he's there bringing the carbon pesach, he could bring other sacrifices to release them from their impurity, to complete the process. He forgot to tell them that he's bringing those sacrifices. Doesn't matter. They don't need to know about it. He's even allowed to bring it for his child that doesn't have das anyway, that's not aware of what's going on. He could even bring the sacrifice for him. So you see, the person that the sacrifice is being brought for doesn't need to be aware of it. So if that's the case, then he's not considered a messenger. Messenger would be where the person has intention and sends him. But over here, the person doesn't even need to know about it, so it's not considered a messenger. Where did we get this from? Because it uses the word zeis teiras hazav. This is the laws. Torah means the laws of the zav. And Rabbi Yochanan says these are the laws that's coming to include whether it's an adult or a minor. If it's a minor, then he's not even aware of what's going on, because a minor is considered doesn't have das. So then this would apply to even someone else that's not a minor. The person doesn't need to know about it. Gemara says, if that's the case, Elamayata, Rabbi Yochanan zeis teres hayuledes bein ketana bein gedela. What are you going to say about this one? It says the same verse when it comes to a woman giving birth. It says zeis teres. This is the laws of a woman that gives birth. You have to bring those sacrifices. And we know that ketana bas leidahi. Are you saying that it's coming to include a minor? But a minor can't give birth. Minor can't become pregnant. She's too young. She's not physically capable of becoming pregnant. if you ask that, yes, she can. And sometimes it happens that she becomes pregnant. So that would then tell us that she's not really a minor. Usually a minor is not a minor with age. But if she had a baby, then she's also not a minor. Then she's already a mother, not a minor. Okay. Katana Basledi is, can a child give birth? Batani Rabibi Kamedu Rav Nachman. Rabibi taught in the name of Rav Nachman that Shalish Nashim Mishamshis B'mayf. There's 3 women that are supposed to use a contraceptive, that they should not get pregnant. Katana, if it's a minor, because as we're going to say that maybe it's going to harm her, she could die from that pregnancy. Muberes, if she's pregnant already, then you don't want the possibility of another pregnancy taking place, if that's possible, but that would ruin the first fetus. Umenika, if she's nursing, then if she would get pregnant, the milk would dry up. So you don't want that to happen. So you want her to be able to finish nursing the first one. So she should use a contraceptive. She shouldn't get pregnant. Usually it's naturally, she shouldn't get pregnant, but nevertheless, that's where it's allowed. Not only allowed, but it's encouraged. And Katana, Shematis Abba V'Tamas. We said why the child, because maybe she'll get pregnant and pass away. You see, a child can't become pregnant. Now, the commentaries ask a question here. It said, Shema Tisaber, maybe she'll get pregnant and pass away, which means that maybe not. It means maybe she could get pregnant, not pass away. So it is possible for her to have a baby. Why are we saying like it's an impossibility? So for that, we'll answer that if she does have a baby, then she's not considered a child anymore. Okay. Gemara answers, well, the question over here is basically, if Rabbi Yochanan says that the word Teiras is coming to include a minor, as we see by the Zav, it's coming to include a minor. How does it include a minor by the woman that's giving birth? It can't be a minor. Gemara answers, you're right. Over here, it's not including a minor, it's including someone else. It's coming to include whether she's competent or incompetent mentally. Even if she's a shaita, she's mentally incompetent. So the husband can bring the carbon for her as well. Maybe carbon the husband could bring the sacrifice for his wife that's mentally incompetent, as Rabbi Yehuda says. The Tanya taught in a brisa. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Other maybe carbon asher alishtai chol kabana shachayeves kach kaisev la v'achrayas dislach alai min kadmas dana." See, wealth. There's the sacrifice that a woman brings after she gives birth is called the carbon oil of yared. It depends on which bracket they're under, tax bracket. If they're wealthy, then they bring it as an animal. If they're poor, then I think there's maybe 3, or this is just 2. I think in some cases there's 3 options. They bring a bird, and then there's the meal offering if they're very poor. Sometimes it's just 2, either not by every chatas, by certain chatas. Forget the one that takes the vow falsely. I think by there, there's a carbon oil of yared. Well, a woman doesn't really own anything. She has her nichsei malog. She has the property that she brought into the marriage that's hers. But let's say she doesn't have a lot of that property, so she's living off her husband's. So if the husband brings the sacrifice for her, then the husband is wealthy. He can say, "Well, my wife is poor, so I'm going to bring the lesser sacrifice." So he's not allowed to do that. He's bringing the sacrifice. He has to bring it at his bracket, which is the more expensive one. So what we're saying now is that he can bring it for her. He brings it for her, even though she's mentally incompetent. He can bring it for her, and it really doesn't matter her status. It only matters his status, which level. And so that's what we're saying. The word Teiras would be coming to include. Okay. Actually, in the Ksuba it says writes to her that all the responsibilities that are on you, I'm accepting, which means he's going to bring her sacrifices.
Since today we don't have a temple, would you give tzedakah, like the minimum bracket for each child?
I haven't seen that mentioned, but I don't know. Only thing that I've seen mentioned today, that if someone would bring a sacrifice, would be obligated to bring a sacrifice. It says in certain places, if someone did a sin that would obligate him to bring a sacrifice, then he should read that section in the Torah. That's what it says. And it says if someone had a miracle that happened to him, he would be, like a carbon taida. Today we can't bring the carbon taida, so they should dedicate food to the yeshiva. Something that was considered like a carbon taida, as if. Yeah, I think I saw that in a Mishnah Berurah or something. Okay. Masav Rav Simi Barabba. Start on the top of Lamed Vav. Simi Barabba has a question. Im haya kayen, if he's a kayen, the person that took the vow not to give benefit to his friend, Yizrik alav dam chatase v'dam hashamai, he's allowed to sprinkle the blood of his sin offering or his guilt offering. You told me that the only reason why he's allowed, in other words, we thought we had an answer, that the fact that it can bring a sacrifice means that the Kohen is not a worker, not a messenger from the people, he's a messenger from Hashem. That's what we thought we were going to answer. We said that's not accurate, because over here he's not bringing a regular sacrifice of a sin offering or a guilt offering. Over here he's bringing these types of sacrifices that are really just allowing him to be able to eat from other sacrifices, which means that it's part of the purification process. The person doesn't even need to know that it's being brought on his behalf, right? Because you can bring it for a minor. So therefore, these sacrifices, he's not considered a messenger, so he's allowed to bring them. But if it would be a real sacrifice, he would be considered a messenger from the people. He wouldn't be allowed to bring it. That's what we're thinking now. That's what we're holding. Problem is, Rav Simi Barabba says he's even allowed to bring a sin offering or a guilt offering. That means, obviously, that he's not a messenger from the people. He's a messenger of Hashem. The Gemara answers, Dam chatasi shal mitzayra v'dam hashami shal mitzayra d'ksiv zayis tiyater shal mitzayra ben gadol ben katan. We're not talking about a regular sin offering or a guilt offering. We're talking about the sin offering and guilt offering that a leper, someone that had leprosy, brings as part of his purification process. We're back to the answer that it's a purification. And over there it says that zayis tayras, where the person doesn't even need to know that it's being brought for him. How do we know this? Because Tyrus is including even a minor. The minor doesn't need to have intention. You bring it on his behalf. That means even if you bring it for adult, the person doesn't need to know. Tanan, started in the Mishnah, Kainim Shepiglu, another Mishnah, Kainim Shepiglu b'mikdash. If a Kayan has the wrong intention when he's bringing the sacrifice, and he makes it piggle. Piggle means that he thinks that while he's slaughtering or receiving the blood, he thinks that he's going to sprinkle the blood tomorrow, which is not the correct time. There's a time, or he's going to eat it tomorrow. So not the correct time.
So it's wrong.
Yeah, the machshava, the thought ruins the sacrifice, turns it into something called piggle. So mezidin, if they did it on purpose, they had that thought on purpose, then chayavin, they have to pay for the sacrifice. Hashagigin. But if they would do it by mistake, in it they didn't realize what they were doing, they didn't realize it wasn't done on purpose, the piturin, ela shepigul and pigul. They're exempt, but it's considered pigul. Now, if you say that they're messengers from heaven, then we understand why the sacrifice becomes pigul. They messed it up. They're the workers of Hashem, and they messed it up. But if they're messengers of the owner, so why are they considered even a messenger? Why is it considered pigul? He could tell the Kayan, I made you my messenger only to make it proper, but not to mess it up. So therefore, it should not be considered pigul. You were only my messenger. You're not my messenger. What did you do? I don't know. You cut the animal, but it's not pigul. because you're not my messenger. The only person that could do this would be someone that was doing it on his behalf. Why is it pigel? Amri, so we answer, Shani Gabi pigel Damakra Loy Chashiv Loy Mikol Makim. It's over here we have a pasuk that says it doesn't matter, and it's considered pigel no matter what. So the logic is there, but the pasuk tells me that that's not how a pigel works. Pigel works that if the kohen thinks that it's pigel, it's going to be pigel. So we don't have a proof here that it's from a Mishnah that the kohen is a messenger of Hashem. We know that from logic. We know it from the Gemara Kedushin, the Gemara Yuma, but from a Mishnah, which we're trying to do over here, we don't have a proof for that. Okay, let's leave it over here.
Thank
you
you.
very much. Have a great day.